The Democrats, in my opinion, are continuing to spiral out of control. That was what my whole video was about. Basically, in the last video I made was about Trump being projected to have a landslide for 2020, a blowout, Politico called it. But there's more to the story. This from Town Hall just the other day. Civil War. Former Democratic senator is just ripping the party's 2020 field on Twitter. Forgive me, I know I say this a lot in the last few videos. The top 2020 Democratic contenders support the Green New Deal. The largest federation of unions opposes it. This should be the best example of how fractured and insane the Democratic Party has become. They're not paying attention to people anymore. They're not supporting people anymore. What? It's mind-blowing. But now we have this. Who is Mike Gravel? Well, he's only the former Democratic senator from Alaska who ran for president in 2008. If you don't remember, it's fine. He didn't last long at all, but apparently he's considering running for president again after some teenagers filed the exploratory committee paperwork. Here we go from Politico. Mike Gravel, the two-term former Democratic senator from Alaska who left elected office in 1981, is running for president, kind of. Late Tuesday night, a Gravel exploratory committee filed paperwork with the Federal Election Commission, setting off a cascade of Twitter commentary and accusations that the filing was simply a bit of trolling by teenage students. The filing was the brainchild of teenagers, but they had the senator's blessing. They asked me if it was okay. I said they could do what they wanted as long as they were doing it and not me, Gravel joked in a brief interview with Politico. Gravel and the teens are an odd match at first glance. He has been out of the Senate for roughly double the time his young organizers have been alive. When they first approached me, I responded, "Do you know how old I am?" said Gravel, who is 88. So is Gravel the next teen sensation? Oh, gee, probably not. And he's not going to win the Democratic nomination in 2020. What he is doing, however, is trashing the entire 2020 Democratic field. From Joe Biden to Amy Klobuchar, no one is safe. Gravel's Twitter account has been going scorched earth on his party's contenders for a couple of days now. The Gravel gang is here. Soak it up while it lasts because it won't be long. But Democrats trashing other Democrats? Grab the popcorn. The memes have been fantastic. My favorite meme is the Bernie Sanders one where it says, "I don't always comb my hair, but when I do, I use a balloon." I don't think that's a dig at Bernie Sanders other than he's got crazy hair, and that's fine. I think I was recently made fun of in Freedom Tunes, and I lended my voice to it because it's fine. He made me look like Stan Marsh and complain about not getting a girlfriend. It's fun. It's just poking fun. Michael Tracy tweeted, "Hey, Mike Gravel, what's your take on the Ilhan Omar controversy? Seems to me the vast majority of Democrats behaved like piddling cowards." Gravel said, "Worse than cowards, dishonest and morally bankrupt. Ilhan Omar spoke truth to power. She's heroic, and I have nothing but scorn for the legions of Dems who attacked her for it." I disagree with that personally, but it's funny to see Mike Gravel coming out in this way. He tweeted an image. Amy Klobuchar enters 2020 race ready to take on big tech. Amy Klobuchar, it's hard to fight the big tech firms that abuse American workers when you also like to abuse American workers. Oh my God, I knew the Democratic primary was going to be epic, but this is getting good. It's getting good. Trust me. The memes are popping up. Beto O'Rourke's jumping up on counters. Amy Klobuchar's eating salad with combs. And now someone who left political office in 1981 is at 88 years old is dragging all of the frontrunners. He tweeted this out about Joe Biden. "I sure do hope the faucets at Joe Biden's house are strong with the amount of Iraqi blood on his hands." Oh my God. Hell yeah. Mike Gravel says, "Killer Kamala Harris just came around to supporting marijuana legalization, even though she smoked it herself in college. Meanwhile, I've served as the CEO of 2 marijuana companies." I don't think he's actually going to run. Here we go. "If I run, I'd run not to win, but to push great candidates like Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard toward more sensible views on political reform and foreign policy through the debates. We need a strong left flank for strong policy. I think Bernie and Tulsi need to be pushed a little bit away from some of the more extreme far left policy because they have so much right. I've kind of lost a lot of faith in Bernie when he endorsed Hillary, but Tulsi told the DNC, she left the DNC to support Bernie, and that to me shows integrity. More importantly, while I think she got a lot of policy ideas I don't like, as you know, you may have just seen me laugh wholeheartedly at the joke about Iraqi blood on Joe Biden's hands, because my most people are single issue voters, and for me it's like foreign intervention in war. Let's stop spending money and sending our young people off to foreign conflicts. Look, I come from a family where I'm like basically the only person who didn't serve in the men's side of my family. My grandfather was in World War II. I think World War II. My dad was a Marine. My brother was in the Army. I wasn't. I did go to conflict zones to an extent, not like active war, but like civil conflict and stuff like that. So maybe that's something in our blood. But it's these things and the people I've met that make me really frustrated that we have people who are willing to serve the country and defend it being sent off to go fight intervention for absurd reasons. So it makes me laugh. And that's why I like Tulsi, because she served. I believe she's still a major in the National Guard. I have tremendous respect for that. And she wants to stop the foreign intervention. And I'm just like, full clap, hardcore. I'm not going to clap into the microphone, so I just pretended. But I find that joke good. So I'd like to see more anti-war candidates. And again, yes, I like Rand Paul and I like Ron Paul. I disagree with them on policy. I'm like a centrist. But anybody who's willing to stand up and say, stop the foreign intervention, not isolationism, just stop blowing people up. I'm like, yes, here. Stop sending, though, like, there are a lot of people, in my opinion, who are in the armed forces who I've met and are nothing special. Like, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but they're regular folk. They don't, they're not necessarily, I don't want to call them heroes. They're just people who decided to join the army and they work regular jobs like regular folks. But there are a lot of people who decided to put themselves on the line and face combat because they believe in something bigger than themselves. I have tremendous respect for that, especially with my family. I don't like the idea of sending them into foreign wars for regime change and things like that. I like the idea of those people standing up straight and guarding the funeral. There's a photo of like an 80-year-old guy who's standing guard at his friend's funeral because when they were in war together, he made a promise that, if he died, he would be there to guard him. And so here's this old man. Tremendous respect for that. The idea that there are people willing to put themselves on the line and defend our country, to me, is extremely respectable. And it's like the top of the top. That's why I don't like it when politicians who have no experience, no understanding, and no risk to themselves send our good people out to die and get injured. No respect at all. There are some people who are more bullish on war that have faced it. I'm willing to listen to. But I'm not willing to listen to, well, actually, I don't know a lot about Joe Biden's history, but I'm pretty sure he's not, I don't know if he served. But if they did, and therefore I'm absolutely willing to listen to them. I'm just not willing to listen to politicians who haven't experienced any of it, who think they have the right to, send people off. And that's why I have a tremendous respect for Tulsi Gabbard. Well, let's read on. He says, Cory Booker melodramatically declared releasing inconsequential files on Brett Kavanaugh his Spartacus moment. This is me in 1971 reading the Pentagon Papers into the record for hours on end, risking expulsion from the Senate. That's real. I like this guy. There's one more thing I want to bring up, because the point of this video is not for me to rant about why I don't like war and the disrespect from liberal elite politicians who don't understand the working class and claim to represent them. This is crazy to me. Dems in disarray. It's the DCCC. That's the, what is that called? It's the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Blocks moves against incumbents from the far left, like Ocasio-Cortez. If you're not familiar, I talk about it a lot. The progressives like Cortez and, we'll just keep it to Cortez. They use a technique called primarying, where they target safe Democrat districts, and all they have to do is win a tiny, tiny fraction of the votes, because people don't vote in primaries, they don't care, and they win. Cortez got 16,000 votes, I think, and that was all it took, because no one in her district would vote Republican. They didn't know who she was. She didn't know anything either. She has no idea what she's talking about half the time, but she won. That's the technique, the strategy, an exploit. Well, now they're trying to make sure it doesn't happen, because Cortez has threatened other Democrats with upsetting them in primary techniques. This is an exploit. Man, I gotta say this too. Republicans are probably susceptible to this. Pretty sure it's similar to what the Tea Party was doing back in the day. It's not like it's an original technique. Democrats in the House of Representatives frightened by the internecine? It's a new word for me. Warfare threatened by hard leftists in their party against incumbents are fighting back by doing their best to block primary challenges by warning political firms they will not work with them if the firms aid primary challengers to incumbents. They're cutting you off. You're going to lose your business. As the National Journal reports on Friday, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee issued new hiring standards to over 100 political firms, one of which stated that the DCCC won't contract with or recommend to House candidates any political firms that aid challengers to current House members. That's crazy. DCCC Executive Director Allison Jaslow told the National Journal that the committee has the ability to set the course for the Democrats. The National Journal points out that the new standards have a two-pronged approach. They prevent hard leftists from challenging more moderate members of the House. who come from more moderate districts, but also protect the new hardline leftists who could easily be ousted in the next congressional election. Such leftists include Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, so it could be, in effect, protecting them to a degree. But it's kind of a ceasefire. It stops everything. The Democrats are in complete disarray. You've got people like Mike Gravel, a former Democrat, dragging them, all of them, because they're absurdly out of touch. All of them are. It's insane. They're spinning in circles, desperately trying to figure out what's going on. All the while, according to Politico, Trump is set for a 2020 blowout. The Democrats, you know, as much as I lean left on social policy, the Democrats bother me the most because it seems like they're just stuck in their own little circles and they don't pay attention to what's going on. They don't care about what the little people are saying. They don't care about what's happening in terms of freedom and liberty. And they think the ivory tower, what is it? It's a great saying. I forgot who said it. The Democrats believe the opinion of the New Yorker represents America. They're wrong. And that's why they thought Trump was going to lose in 2016, because they were wrong then and they're wrong now. They have lost touch. I think they spent so much time kicking back and putting their feet up with Obama. They forgot what's actually happening in this country and lost touch. I don't think they'll even win 2024. I really don't. But we'll see what happens. It's a long way away. I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a good one.